Today we are here with Stella Prince. This is WMRE. My name is Carmen. Thank you so much for meeting with us today. Like I said, we have a couple of questions for you. But do you have any questions before we begin? Do you maybe want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Well, hi everyone. My name is Stella Prince. I'm a singer-songwriter, originally from Woodstock, New York, hence folk music, and based in LA and Nashville now. But my goal really is to bring folk music to Gen Z and just kind of bring it to a new generation. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so can you kind of tell us a little bit about your story? I know you began singing when you were pretty young, but did you was there ever a time that you just decided that this was what you wanted to do, or how did that journey kind of work for you?
Yeah, it sounds kind of ridiculous, but really, when I was 4 years old, I'm not sure how or why, but I came to the conclusion that this is what I wanted to do with the rest of my entire life, and went to my parents and said I wanted voice lessons, and I wanted a manager and an agent, and I wanted to get going and start performing, and I was just ready to go and start my career. So my parents are not in music at all. No one in my family is a musician. So it was kind of a freak thing. They had no idea what to do. So they put me in voice lessons like I wanted, and I started performing constantly. And really, ever since that age, I've just always known that this is what I was meant to do.
That's awesome. What do you remember your first show? Was there a first did you have a big first debut performance?
Yes, I'd say my biggest first couple shows were like the school's talent shows I did. I went to a
Mhm.
school that was like kindergarten through eighth grade, and they did this program where anyone from any grade could sign up to do the talent show every year, and that was like my first big because it was like the whole school, so it was hundreds and hundreds of people, and I did that when I was 5, 6, and 7. That was like my first ever huge show, and I loved it.
That's so awesome. That's super cool. Oh my gosh. I remember those talent shows. They're very fun. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much. Who are your biggest musical inspirations? You said your family wasn't super musically inclined, but did you grow up listening to a lot of music or what kinds of music, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, my family definitely is not like they're not musicians, but they have a huge love of music. So there was like massive amounts of CDs and records that I just listened to constantly growing up. And being in Woodstock, it was like every folk singer in the world was literally based there and performed there.
Mhm.
So like my first concert was Leave on Hell when I was 3 years old,
Oh yeah.
and like he was just there, and like his grandkids went to my school, and Pete Seeger was another one who like was doing a benefit for the Hudson River, and like he had me come up on stage and sing a song with him. And Peter Yarrow from like Peter Paul and Mary came to my school and sang Puff the Magic Dragon with all the kids, and like so it was
Oh
like
my
it was
gosh.
just ridiculous like how many musicians were there.
Yeah.
So that was like unbelievably, I think, influencing with my music. But outside of like people I've met, I'd say, Patsy Cline, Judy Garland, and Karen Carpenter are my three favorite singers of all
Okay,
time.
yeah. Good ones.
But I mean, they're incredible. But in terms of folk singers, Joni Mitchell, Judy Collins, Joan Baez. I actually got to open for Judy Collins this summer in LA.
Oh my gosh.
Was unbelievable. And I met her before the show and talked to her. And she was like, I'm going to be taking notes on your performance. I just want you to know that. And she did. And I saw her literally writing stuff down, like from backstage. I was like, okay. And like, the number one thing she said, she was like, you need to have way more fun. Like, you need to really just have fun and take things less seriously. And I was like, this is very true. And it's like the best advice anyone could have given me.
I was gonna say,
So
have you incorporated that into your recent performances? Just having
I've
more
really
fun?
tried because that's really the number one thing that I feel like is one of my biggest faults. Is like I'm so serious all the time, and she noticed that like right away, which I just love. But yeah, and I feel like with contemporary influences, I think Noah Kahn is one of the greatest artists right now because he combines folk and pop so well.
Mhm.
And Casey Musgraves and Lana Del Rey and just those incredible artists that really are like genre bending. It's like every genre, and I just love that so much.
Yeah, no, for sure. I have not had a chance to get into Noah Khan. I know people love him. I just have heard just bits and pieces. So maybe that's my next
Oh
artist.
yeah, he's fantastic. I mean, I feel like he's really the closest thing that comes to Gen Z folk, which
Mhm.
is what I consider my music as, because it's like it's folk music. It is, with guitar and finger picking, but it's catchy, and I think that's the thing that distinguishes folk music versus Gen Z folk. It's like people want catchy melodies. They don't want a 16 verse song that goes on and on and on. And I just love what he's doing so much.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I do know some of the folk artists that we've actually interviewed at WMRE and have gone to their shows. We met Stephen Day, I think he's folk, and Arts Fishing Club, also from Nashville. They were both really, really great shows. I actually saw Arts Fishing Club at Eddie's Attic, and it was
Okay.
like one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. They were so good. Um, and like I'm Gen Z, and I was like, I loved it.
Yeah. I
It
have
was
to say
great.
the fact that you know who Judy Collins is like incredible to
Yeah.
me.
Hey, my parents raised me well.
Yeah, yeah. It's so funny.
Okay, awesome. So, kind of out of all of the songs that you've written and produced, which one do you think is your favorite and maybe most like um, kind of significant to you? I know that's a big
Yeah,
question.
yeah, that's a big question. I think probably my favorite original song that I've released is a song called Dear Future Me. And the cover of it is a photo of me when I was like 7 years old, just like putting my arms into the air and just like looking up into the sky. And it's like by far my most personal song. Um, but there's a song that I just released that was in a Hallmark movie just in September, this past September.
Oh,
It's my
wow.
newest song that came out, and it's a song by the Carpenters, and it's called Close to You.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it
yeah,
was a
yeah.
huge song in the 70s. It's one of my favorite songs, and I got to just recreate it for this movie,
Hmm.
and it was one of the coolest experiences ever. And it's the first like non-original song I've ever released. So that was really the coolest thing that just happened in the fall. But in
That's
terms of like original
huge.
songs, it was unbelievable. It really was probably the highlight of this whole year. I mean, I've just never experienced anything like it. Hearing your song, in a movie, and I watched it like on TV as it was airing. Like,
Oh,
it's just the coolest thing.
wait, what
Um,
movie was it?
it was called Adventures in Love and Birding, and it's about a couple that like falls in love while bird watching, and it's
Oh,
like a
that's so
classic
cute.
like fall rom com on Hallmark.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because the theme of the whole movie was about birds,
Hmm.
and the first line of "Close to You" is "Why do birds suddenly appear every time you
Yeah.
are near?" So they were like, oh, "You have to sing this." I was like, "That is perfect."
Oh, that's awesome. And how did you how did you kind of get to that spot? Did you reach out to them? Did they reach
Yeah.
out to you? Like, how did that work?
It was really total fate. There's this incredible festival called Live in the Vineyard, which is based in Napa, California, and they have artists from all over the country perform, and all over Napa just like takes over for a weekend in April. And so I got to perform, and there just happened to be a music supervisor there from Hallmark who listened and loved it. And she asked me what my favorite singer was, and I said Karen Carpenter. She was like, you know what? There might be an opportunity for you to sing a Carpenter song. Let me think about it. And we didn't hear anything for a couple months. And then
Yeah.
suddenly she reached out, in the early summer, and she was like, want to do it? And I was like, yes.
Wait, that's awesome. That's super cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is huge. Kind of piggybacking off of that, lots of people who listen to our station slash kind of are involved in our station are like looking to release music, create music, that kind of stuff. And I know you're an independent artist. What is maybe the best part of being an independent artist, and what would you say is kind of the hardest part?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think it kind of one of the biggest things about my journey is that I've done everything myself. And that means booking all the shows. And I've booked over 1,000 shows starting
Wow.
from age 14 on,
Yeah.
and doing everything from making the posters and advancing the shows and promoting them and negotiating payment and making the budgets and booking the travel and just literally every aspect of everything. And I think the best part about being an independent artist now is that you can do everything yourself.
Mhm.
It's like brutal work. The competition is insane because everyone can do it, everyone can post themselves. So now more than ever, there's just millions and millions of people. And it's harder than ever, but it's also easier than ever because you can reach out to anyone at any time. And 99.9% of every show and opportunity I've ever gotten has been through a cold email.
Oh, wow.
And literally. I mean, every single show I've ever performed has been just me reaching out randomly.
Hmm.
And I think that's the most incredible thing that's happening now is with independent artists, you can do so much on your own. And I think that's almost like it's never been that way before. You know,
Yeah.
in the past, you've needed people, you've needed managers and agents, but now, for the first time, you really can do everything yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds super like inspiring, I feel like, just to know that like you've done this and you can kind of create your own like space for yourself. And I think that that's really special and something that
Yeah,
maybe like a bunch of our listeners would really enjoy hearing.
yeah,
Um, in addition to that, and like we've booked shows for WMREs. We like even with our team of people, like it's just it's a lot and that's incredibly impressive. Um, kind of sort of still on that note, do you have any advice for any up and coming artists, anybody that you like that wants to get into music, wants to start releasing music, writing music? Do you have any
yeah.
advice for them just generally?
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one thing I've learned is that cold emails, cold calls, and cold DMs work. And the most important thing about that, I think, is persistence and really nagging people. And I know that sounds weird, but if you reach out to, let's say, 100 venues and no one writes back, and I've kind of spoken to a lot of young artists, and that's what they say. You know, they say, I write to people and no one writes back, and I don't know what to do. And basically, I feel like the thing with that is like, the only way you're going to get a response is if you keep following up over and over and over and over. And it's grueling and miserable, and there's a chance that you might get some people annoyed. But at the end of the day, I resent every email once a week, every single week for sometimes months before I got a response. Sometimes I'd have sent 20 emails to the same venue in like New Orleans and
Mhm.
they would finally respond after like 5 months. And that's really the only way is just persistence. And like, I always felt like every show I got was a fight. Like
Yeah.
every single show, it was such a massive effort and such a massive amount of difficulty to get that it was just exhausting. But when you got the show, it was so worth it.
Yeah, and then you play the show and you're just like, I really did all of this.
Yeah, exactly, because it's like if you can book your own tours, that is such a flex and such a thing that everyone in the industry is going to look at you, and it's really something that a lot of people, aren't able to do, and it's the coolest thing. And even if you have 4 shows, that's a tour. That's literally a tour, and you make the tour poster and send it out, and everyone notices. So it doesn't take that much.
Mhm. That's awesome. That's really, really great advice. Kind of going on to our last question, just in terms of the future, well, no, in the past, what has your favorite show that you've played? Like, what was your favorite show? Is there one that like really kind of stands out to you that you were like, this is great?
Yeah, there's this big festival in Nashville called Americana Fest,
Hmm.
and I'm sure you've heard of it. It's
Hmm.
kind of like the CMA Fest for non-country artists. And I had applied 7 years in a row for an official
Wow.
showcase. I started applying when I was 14,
Yeah.
and it was like literally the first thing that I ever applied for. I had like 40 followers on Instagram, and someone mentioned it to me, and I just applied. And I applied 7 years in a row, and this year was the first year that I got one. And my official showcase was sold out, and it was like a couple hundred people in Nashville. And it was just one of those experiences where, like, I remember saying at the end, like, I have applied for this 7 years in a row, and I finally made it. And everyone just like started clapping, and it was one of those moments like you never forget because it was like after so many years of no, finally you get that yes, and it just meant so much.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's awesome. And then kind of on the other end of that, looking toward the future, what do you think your dream venue is? Like, what is your dream show to play?
Well, prior to like 2 weeks ago, I would have said the Troubadour, and I just found out I'm playing that at the end of this month, which
Wait,
is like,
congratulations. And that's in LA, yeah?
it is,
That's
it's like
awesome.
the most iconic venue in LA, and it's been on my bucket list for years. So I think probably outside of that, I think probably, the Hollywood Bowl and the Grand Ole Opry and, kind of those really just Red Rocks and those legendary, huge venues. I've never played a venue bigger than, a couple, maybe like less than 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And someday that's my biggest dream is to play for just huge crowds. And
Yeah.
I think that would be the coolest thing
Wait, that's awesome. That's incredible. And you got to like set new goals for yourself because you're just like meeting all of them, which is
ever.
incredible. Um,
Well, thank
Well,
you.
that was the end of my questions. Thank you so much for meeting with us again.